This meeting will now come to order. I'd like to thank each of you for coming today and showing your interest in what we're doing in our system. Appreciate the opportunity to meet with you and talk. Ms. Meekus, if you have roll call.
Mr. Como,
Here.
Ms. May,
Here.
Mr. Beatty,
Here.
Mr. Hicks,
Here.
Mr. McCoy,
Here.
Mr. Graves,
Here.
Mr. Manley.
Here.
Just stand for the pledge and invocation. Invocation be by Mr. Wayland McCormick.
Let's pray together. Father, as we gather here today for the purpose of conducting business that will affect the future of our students, Lord, we ask for your wisdom. We ask for your guidance.
These.
Lord,
Yes, Lord.
your word tells us that we are made in your image. It doesn't mean we look like you, but Father, we have your characteristics. We have your love. We have your patience. We have your understanding. Lord, we ask that you give us opportunities and divine appointments to be your hands, your feet, and show those characteristics to the rest of the world. Lord, I love you and thank you for this group of men and women that have come together, Father, to lead us, to guide us, and to point us in the directions that will make positive change to our students and our community. Lord, we ask that you fill this place with your Holy Spirit, your guidance. Lord, we love you. We thank you for providing a way for us, a promise, a hope, and eternity through your Son, Jesus Christ. And it's in his name we ask these things. Amen.
Amen. Pledge by Mr. David Graves.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board, I'd ask for approval of minutes from January 17, January 31st meetings.
Also move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Ask for approval of the agenda.
Also move that, go ahead.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any opposed? All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Personnel report, Dr. Coker.
Thank you, Mr. Como. I think many of you know that we have some interim positions that have been serving throughout the 2022-2023 school year. And so, Board, at this time, I'd like to ask that we advertise the following open positions in order to get some of these folks in place. First will be the Director of Construction and Maintenance. Secondly, our Director of Safety and Security. Next is our Supervisor of Maintenance, and finally our Supervisor of Custodial Services. All of these are currently interim or acting positions, and we'll go through the process in order to make them full-time positions, but we want to advertise and have those who are going to apply go ahead and apply within the next couple of weeks.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Como.
All right. All right, business item number 1. Discussion and consideration of the selection of school superintendent. This agenda item may be discussed both in open session as well as executive session in accordance with the applicable provisions of Louisiana open meeting law. Mr. Manley, we will begin this process by allowing those that have filled out comment cards to come forth and give their support for the candidate of their choice. And this is strictly for support of the candidate of their choice.
Okay, the first one is Tiffany Hatton. Ms. Tiffany, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
Mr. Noah, I just wanted to ask before I start, are we going to be given an opportunity to comment after the board presents to us their findings from yesterday's meeting? Okay.
accordance with the statute.
Okay.
Now's the time to do it.
I just wanted to congratulate the board. It's been a minute since I've been here. I've been working down at state with the education standards for birth to 5. So it's been a minute since I've seen you guys, but I do want to congratulate Mr. Como for his seat as president, Mr. Manley, and all the new board members, well, Coach Beatty. Some things I wanted to ask about yesterday's meeting or just bring forth is that I don't think there were any original questions from the board about the hardships and things that we've gone through over the past couple years. And it was a little concerning for me because, you know, we don't know what our future holds with public health, with, you know, any new national agendas coming from feds, coming from all these different organizations like CRT, social emotional learning. None of those things were addressed yesterday. So I would like the board to consider questioning those things of the candidates, because I don't think you have the whole picture of what these candidates stand for in those most controversial learning topics and non-academic competencies that nationally are trying to be entered into our classroom. As well as, you know, over the past couple of years, there's been possibly, and most recently, some misappropriation of tax funds, like taxpayer funds. So how are we going to allow people to resign, or are we going to have them fired? You know, the public deserves to know those answers of these candidates, because the superintendent and personnel director will be the ones making those decisions, correct? So those are the top 3 things that I wanted to hear the board address yesterday that weren't. But I do want to point out that one of the candidates, they probably all mentioned transparency, but Mr. Geis mentioned transparency and actually set forth like an actual idea of what that would look like. And I don't know if you addressed this with him yesterday, but who from the public would he consider a seat at that table? Is it just organizations? Is it certain taxpayers? Like, how is that process going to work with him? Obviously, teachers, parents, maintenance, you know, workers within the system, but who else is going to get a seat at that table? Is it going to be business owners, you know, that kind of thing? I think Mr. Coker created a committee recently, an advisory committee, maybe with some public input. So I would just like to hear from Mr. Geis on that and any other candidate that mentioned anything about transparency, because that's been a huge deal through these past couple of years, as you all know, with parents, with educators across the board. So thank you.
Miss.
Mr. Manley?
You got a question?
That last concern was, your last concern was?
For questioning the misappropriation of tax.
No. You
Okay.
said about participation from
the public. He mentioned, you know, there would be different committees. Who from the public, not affiliated with a child being in school, like taxpayers. You know.
Okay, thank you.
Miss Roxy Johnston.
Hey y'all, I kind of forgot how nerve-wracking this is. I cannot go through everything that I actually want to discuss within 3 minutes, but the one thing I do want to discuss, and I think actually Mr. McCoy may be in favor of this, is whoever y'all choose as a candidate. I really would like for y'all to actually give them the interim superintendent position for 6 months, and then reopen this position nationwide in order to make sure that Ouachita Parish actually gets the best candidate, in order to actually bring Ouachita Parish forward instead of backwards or remaining the same. Tiffany pretty much touched everything that I had concerns with, other than I would like for us to have a meeting either individually, or if we want to be transparent, schedule a special meeting in order to address specific concerns and questions that I have, Tiffany, or the rest of the public.
That's transparency.
Thank you. Let me say again, this is 3 minutes to be used to support the person of your choice. I'm sure when we make the decision that these questions that y'all have concerns by after someone is appointed can be addressed.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
I kind of thought that's how why the public would actually come up afterwards.
No, we're not having questions for the candidates
Oh,
today.
well, if y'all want to know who I support, it'd be Buddy Reed.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Sherilyn Locke.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I've prepared a statement in support of one of the applicants, Mr. Ty Geis, and I would like to read my statement that I prepared. This is an honor and privilege to speak on behalf of Ty Geis for the position of Superintendent of Schools for the Ouachita Parish School System. Over the years that I've had the opportunity to know and work with Mr. Geis, he has continuously demonstrated the leadership qualities, though challenging, as well as the times of celebration. Because of the roles he has served in education, Mr. Geis has a clear understanding of the responsibilities that the superintendent plays in a district this size. Mr. Geis would be a great liaison for the system who would effectively communicate critical information and communicate with all stakeholders, including parents, teachers, principals and their staff, central office staff, press and media, school board members, communities, state and local government agencies, as well as students. Successful superintendents have intense workloads, which include, but not limited to, establishing and overseeing district goals, policies and procedures, hiring and supervising district offices, staff, and principals, maximizing student achievement, and understanding and adhering to budgets and financial plans. The experiences that Mr. Geis brings from serving as a building level principal, a personnel director, and assistant superintendent has provided him with a very thorough knowledge and understanding of school finance and budget challenges, both on the local and state level. Superintendents must command the respect and confidence of their leadership teams. Mr. Geis is a person of high integrity and will make student success a priority. He has, and if selected, will continue to identify the needs of the district, provide leadership, and manage the day-to-day operations that will benefit the more than 18,000 students as well as approximately 3,000 employees in the Ouachita Parish School System. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Locke. Shelby Ainsworth.
Every morning I turn the corner up here at the farmer's market, headed toward West Monroe High School. And when I do, I glance over in the parking lot here at the central office. And usually I see a white truck. And I'll know that Todd Geis beat me to work. And I'll know he's already at work. He arrives early and he stays late. And somewhere during the course of his day, there's no doubt it will become evident to all what kind of man he is. A devoted man, a family man, a godly man. The kind of leader in whom you can place your confidence, your trust. He's dedicated and very committed to making this school district stronger because he's in the business of adding value to every kid that sits in the classroom across this parish. He's not timid about making the tough call, that difficult decision. After all, he's got 37 schools to look after. Todd's heart is reflected in Philippians 2:3 when Paul writes, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or empty pride, but in humility consider others more important than yourselves." He said yesterday in his interview that he wants to work with the people of the district to move education forward. He also said that we're entering a very transitional period where who we hire is crucial. I agree. Board, for this time, for this task, for this team, Let's choose for this district a man of integrity, Todd Geis.
Thank you, Mr. Ainsworth. Marcia Baker.
Good afternoon, school board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. I had to do it a few times during my career. Didn't much enjoy it then, but I'll try today. When I was a school principal, my superintendent at the time, not you, told a parent that was maybe not happy with me at the time, well, you know now, Miss Baker may not be warm and fuzzy, but she is fair and consistent. You know, I probably should have been more offended by that than I was. But to me, fair and consistent is what we're looking for. I can, relay that story in my mind, but when I'm thinking about a leader, I want a leader fair and consistent. I want a leader unafraid of change, willing to listen to all ideas, creative, energetic, one who sees the big picture. I want one who will do what is right, even if there's others against it. I want one who will consider all opinions and then make the best choice for the district. Todd Geis has all of those leadership qualities. I've known him for 30 years in this district. We started out together at Ouachita Junior High when he was a student coach. So we've gone a long way together. With his intelligence, he probably could have pursued a lot of other opportunities that made a lot more money than school. But education is his passion. He works tirelessly for everybody involved with this district. I would say his family is a successful picture of it. He's had 2 children go through the Ouachita Parish school system. One's a doctor in residency and the other one's in law school. So they're devoted to this district. He's been loyal. He's committed. He loves his Lord. He loves his family and friends. And he loves working for the best for kids. To him, it's always about the kids. He's hands down the best candidate for this job. I thank you for allowing me to offer my humble opinion regarding his qualifications. You've got an important decision to make. And I hope you carefully consider Todd Geis for our next superintendent. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Bob Weber.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Manley, Mr. Como, Dr. Coker, Mr. Noah, and you board members. First of all, if I can just kind of drift away, Tommy, from the superintendency, I'd like to say something about our present superintendent and what a great job Don has done. Don was always there to support me in every way. And I tell you, he's done a much better job than the previous superintendent, that's for sure. But Don, enjoy your retirement. And if I could, you board members, I tell you what, I know all 7 of you personally, and you're great people. You're godly people. You're people who care about kids, care about the employees. You do the right thing. And I think most of Ouachita Parish by far agrees with me because you were all reelected very easily. And of course, Mike, you were elected, and a couple of you were unopposed. So keep up the good work. This is a great school system, and in a large part because of you board members. You've done a wonderful job. Todd Geis. I don't think I can say it as well as Dr. Locke or Mr. Ainsworth or Ms. Baker, but I'm going to tell you what I know about Todd Geis. Never seen a smarter educator. Todd knows what to do and he does it. Never seen a harder worker. I never seen a guy that cared more about children and the employees in the school system. And that's the way he's been from the time he was a coach till he became my assistant principal, and he became a principal himself and on into the central office. He's learned this school system from the ground up. And in every phase, he has done a tremendous job. But Todd is so good because he's so good, because he cares, and he wants every child to succeed. You know, I know a lot of times you'll hear about it's a done deal, it's a good old boys club. I remember Frank Hoffman was the personnel director. He told me one time, you know, everybody's going to say it's a done deal, and, you know, they already know who they're going with, and it's a good old boys club and all this kind of stuff. He said, usually the person who is rumored to get the position gets it 90% of the time because they're the best person and most qualified person for the job. That could not be more true than the selection of Todd Geis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Weber.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Mr. Como, that's all the cards we have.
All right, thank y'all for your input. And as I said a while ago, I'm sure whoever we choose will have an open door policy to talk to any of you about the questions that you have. So at this time, Ms. Meekus, we're going to ask you to pass the ballots. Board members, you write your name and your district by the person of your choice, and Ms. Meekus will check again.
Mr. President, and afterwards, I would like to make a short statement.
Okay?
Thank you.
After we get the ballots, the names will be read,
Thank you, ma'am.
and we will appoint that person that has the majority, if there is a majority, contingent upon the development of a contract, the acceptance of the contract, and the approval of the contract by the board at a later date. We will not have a motion today of any kind to accept him. He will just be named today, and then the approval will come later. He still has the opportunity to turn it down. So, thank you. Thank Ms. Meekus for her help, Ms. Eileen for her help during this process, Mr. Manley for your help, and all of your support. Yes, it will be, this position comes effective on July 5th, is that correct? July 5th, when Dr. Coker officially leaves office.
Mr. Como, the board's selection process, the way we vote will be read by Ms. Meekus, is that correct?
Each vote will be read out loud.
You have something to say?
Afterwards. I wanted to afterwards.
Just pick it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was sitting right there. That's the wrong line.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, if you will read the votes, we'd appreciate you.
What, A?
No particular order, she's just going to read.
Mike Beatty, representing District C, Mr. Todd Geis. Sherry May, representing District B, Todd Geis. Jerry Hicks, representing District D, Todd Geis. Harold McCoy, representing District E, Todd Geis. Dabo Graves, representing District F, Todd Geis. Greg Manley, representing District G, Todd Geis. Tommy Como, representing District A, Todd Geis.
Thank you, Ms. Meekus. Is Mr. Geis here?
He is, right up there.
Okay, I didn't see you on the corner. Congratulations, Todd. On negotiation and acceptance and approval of the contract that we have, we will have another meeting at another day and then make things official if this moves forward. So appreciate you. Thank you very much.
President Como,
Yes.
just a few words, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
First of all, let me say congratulations to Mr. Todd Geis, gentleman that I've known for a number of years, and professionally and otherwise. I've known him, first of all, even before he knew me, I knew his dad and his mom. I've watched Todd, as Bob Weber forestated in his comments, to ascend in various and sundry positions. Now you've gone as low as you can go. But I want to say this. People did say, you all already know who you're going to support. And in many cases, as Bob Weber said, 90% of the time, it's because the best candidate has already made the impression on the minds of people. In that case, you did. A few weeks ago, I was at the doctor's office, and I sat beside a guy. And he saw me, and I saw him, and he grabbed and hugged me. I hugged him. And then I saw his wife, a woman that is very dear to my heart as well, Nan Geis, and we sat beside each other for 30 minutes. And they knew that you had applied for this position. Not one time did they mention your name. They mentioned who was really dear to them. Your children. Not one time did they politic. Not one time did they ask me to support you. That was important to me. I called a meeting with you on another issue. I went to your office and sat with you for 30 minutes. Not one time did you ask me to support you. Not once. Never brought it up. I didn't have one phone call from anybody to say, will you support Todd Geis? And I knew a lot of these people were in support of you. I met recently, as I do, with our legislative caucus in the district where I reside. I met with a group of pastors in which I'm very, very close to. They were concerned about our next superintendent. When they brought your name up, none had trepidation. They were comfortable. They were comfortable. That made me feel comfortable in my selection today. So again, I want to just be repetitive, and as Mr. Como has already forestated, congratulations. We wish you Godspeed, and we understand that if you ever have to do another application, make sure you use spell check. Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, item number 2, special recognition, Ms. Eileen Smith.
We're going to begin these special recognitions with Dr. Coker reading a resolution. These recognitions are to recognize you, our board members, for your 2022 training hours that you achieved and even beyond that. So we'll start with Dr. Coker reading the resolution.
Thank you, Alain. First of all, let me also say, Todd, congratulations and condolences at the same time. I think that you will do a super job, and I didn't go through the interview process yesterday. First time that the board has met that I didn't fill this chair in 8 years, and because I have that much confidence also in this school board. So to our board, thank you for the job that you are doing and that you continue to do. I appreciate every one of you. So, and this goes to our school board member training resolution. Whereas each member of a parish school board shall receive a minimum of 6 hours of training and instruction as required by Act 705 of the 2011 Louisiana Legislature, and whereas this training and instruction shall consist of school laws of this state, laws governing the powers, duties, and responsibilities of city and parish school boards, educational trends, research and policy, and whereas such instruction may be received from an institution of higher education in this state, from instruction sponsored by the State Department of Education, or by an in-service training program conducted by a parish school board central office or the Louisiana School Boards Association, or training provided at the national level. And whereas each member of a parish board shall receive 1 hour of ethics training per year of their tenure as board members. Now therefore be it resolved that it become public record that Mr. Jerry Hicks, Mr. Tommy Como, Ms. Sherry May, Mr. Scotty Wagner, Mr. Harold McCoy, Mr. Dabo Graves, and Mr. Greg Manley, members of the Ouachita Parish School Board, have successfully received and exceeded the 6 hours of required training as mandated by the legislature of Louisiana, and all board members have fulfilled the mandate of 1 hour of ethics training for the year 2022. The certificate that you're going to be receiving says, I, the undersigned superintendent of Ouachita Parish School Board, do hereby certify that the above and foregoing is a true copy of a resolution adopted at its regular school board meeting on February 14th, 2023. Dr. Don Coker, Superintendent, Ouachita Parish Schools.
Congratulations. Those certificates are in your folder. So additionally, Louisiana Revised Statute 1753 notes that any school board member who voluntarily completes a minimum of 16 hours of LSBA-approved continuing learning units in their first year of term, which would have been 2019 for this board, and then 6 hours of approved continuing learning units in each subsequent calendar year, which was 2020, 2021, and 2022, would receive the designation of Distinguished School Board Member. The following members have received that designation. Mr. Tommy Como.
It is. It is.
Next we have Mr. David Graves. Dabo.
Who's he, David? I didn't know that was his name. Great.
Got this out of the way.
That's where I used to sit.
Ms. Sherry May.
I don't want to say nothing.
Mr. Jerry Hicks. and Mr. Scotty Wagner. He better not have left.
Thank you, President Como. That concludes my recognition.
Thank you, Ellie. Item number 3, to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution recognizing the final form and the execution of the board purchase agreement in connection with the issuance and sale of general obligation school bonds, Series 2023 of the East Ouachita Parish School District of Parish of Ouachita, State of Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Attorney Grant Schroeder.
Thank you. Grant Schluter with Foley Udell Bond Counsel. This is the third and final issue for the East Side District. Before we get to the results, I will mention that Namdi Thompson, Municipal Advisor, was scheduled to be here. He was called away. He had to go out of state, but he's worked on this issue. And we did have our conference call to update Standard & Poor's, the national rating agency, on your bond rating. Dr. Coker, Regina Mikas, and Mr. Geis were on that call, and we're happy to report that you did maintain your very high bond rating of AA-. That contributes greatly to the low interest rates you get on your bond issues and accordingly the lower cost to the property taxpayers on the east side. The issue size, of course, was $20 million, and that was the last approval by the voters to provide additional funds for the projects on the east side. The bonds were priced at a true interest cost of 3.67%, which was a very good rate. The underwriters did a good job with it. Prior to that time, we had an uptick in interest rates, and some of our issues were selling up closer to 4.5%. So everyone was very pleased with the 3.67%. And you will be within your millage projections that were represented to the voters. This transaction will close on March 1, and funds will be available on that date. Again, with respect to the maintenance of your bond rating, you have the credit report from Standard & Poor's. They emphasize once again the very strong reserves of the school board, fiscal responsibility, and a moderate debt burden to the property taxpayers. If there are any questions, be happy to answer them.
I got one. When you talk about millage projection, on the millage projection, I know you noticed you said interest is 3.67%.
Yeah, the interest rate was 3.67% is the true interest cost that's being paid on the bond issue. And when we went out to the voters, we represented that we did not estimate that there would be any increase above what the school district has been paying for all of the outstanding bonds, and you are still well within that figure. And we're going to lower it as soon as we're able to, yes.
And are we not paying off some bonds, previous bonds? Are we paying those off? They're falling off?
Yeah, there are bonds falling off, and that means at some point, the sooner the bonds fall off, the sooner we can reduce that millage rate. But we do a calculation. Namdi Thompson, the financial advisor, and with Ms. Mikas, we do a calculation at the beginning of each year to make sure the millage rate is set right for your bonds and within the range required by the state legislative auditor, such that you don't overcollect nor undercollect that tax to pay your outstanding bonds. But that's an annual calculation just to make sure we're within the proper range.
Mr. Manley, do we have any comment cards on this item?
We do not have any comment cards for the rest of the meeting.
Thanks, sir. I will ask for a motion on item 3 for the consideration.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Motion passed. Item number 4, approval of
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry.
It is Valentine's Day. I'm gonna head out and drive back to.
Thanks, Brandon. Be safe.
Item number 4, approval of the 23-24 school calendar year. Todd Geis.
Thank you, Mr. Como. Just very quickly before I get there, I just want to thank the board for your support and vote of confidence today. I appreciate that. I just want to echo what Dr. Weber said, and I want to thank both of them. They're two of the only 3 superintendents I've ever worked for, and I appreciate their leadership and their help with me as I've moved through this. And I know I valued both of their opinions a lot and look forward to continuing to get those opinions and suggestions. So thank y'all both. Thank my family too that's sitting here. Couldn't do it without them, and I know my 2 kids are watching online, so appreciate them a lot. So I say all that because I'm tasked with chairing the calendar committee, and usually it goes pretty smoothly, and it didn't go not smoothly this year, but we had to, I think, make an adjustment to the calendar that sometimes our employees are not just real keen, and that deals with Easter, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But you know, our calendar committee is tasked with the responsibility of setting up the calendar and working our way around state testing. That's always the obstacle. We do more testing now than we ever have, and we have to try to navigate that minefield as we go through. So we try to put in PD dates and our holidays where it doesn't interfere with that, and we get the most and maximum instructional time possible. So Eileen has prepared you a 1-page sheet of our calendar, and you can see starting up on August the 1st when our 11, 10 and a half, 10, 9 and a half month employees begin. Our teachers will report back for in-service the week of August the 7th with our first full day of school for grades 1 through 12 on August the 14th. So you can follow along as I go through, and I'll kind of hit the highlights as we go through. And like I said, Easter is always a big question along with spring break and Christmas. So September the 4th would be our Labor Day holiday with an in-service on the 18th. We would take fall break, what we're recommending the week of October the 9th. Veterans Day this year is actually on Saturday, November the 11th. The federal holiday for Veterans Day is November the 10th, and that's what we have included in the calendar. Thanksgiving would be the traditional week, November the 20th, with our in-service day that we traditionally have on December the 8th, falling on that Friday. First big question we have to come to on our calendar is Christmas and how that will fall. Next year, Christmas falls on a Monday, so you get into discussion, do you break weeks up or do you take full weeks? And after looking at the calendar, and I had a lot of discussion about when to place Christmas, the calendar committee is recommending you today that we will dismiss at 11:30 on Wednesday, December the 20th, and return on Thursday, January the 4th. Now, that's always the question. Do you come back in the middle of a week? Do you come back at the end of a week? We had the option to move Christmas break and leave on Friday the 22nd, come back to school on January the 8th. But after a lot of discussion, we felt like this was the best way, because when you come back later, you start pushing high schools in particular as they finish up with midterm and midterm grades right up to the end. We felt like this was still the best route to go this year, and it's similar next year, and it's similar to what we did this year. January 15th would be our Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, President's Day on February the 19th, followed by an in-service day. Traditionally, like I said, our employees have not liked Easter and spring break together. Easter next year is a lot earlier than it has been in previous years, and therein lies the problem, to have those split like we normally would. We have some ACT testing periods. The window opens March the 4th, and we have to have 2 consecutive weeks in order to give that ACT as required by the state. So backing spring break up earlier just really wasn't an option. Our only option to separate Easter and spring break this year was to have spring break the last week of February or the first week of March. And it just didn't make sense. And I think sometimes we have to do what's best for the kids. We feel like from an instructional standpoint, this is what's best. It's tying spring break and Easter together this year. We would dismiss on March the 22nd and return the Tuesday after Easter. So that is what we're recommending. Seniors' last day on May 2nd, and you can go on and see with our teachers, our students' last day on May 23rd, teachers' last day on the 24th, and their Memorial on July 4th holiday. So this is the calendar that the calendar committee that is composed of district leadership, elementary and middle school and high school representatives from around the district. This is the calendar that we are recommending to the board for approval today. Mr. Como, that's what I've got. If you have any questions, be happy to answer best I can.
Having no comments from the audience, I'll ask for no comments, correct?
No comment.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion to approve the calendars presented by Mr. Geis.
I make a motion to approve the calendar for next year.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor, yes?
What about discussion?
Okay, any discussion?
Discussion?
I'm sorry?
We got any weather days built in here?
We do have two weather days built in, Mr. Manley. Clint, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's where we are, right? That's where we are, and that's always a discussion too. So that's where we are on with it.
Is that usually what we have, 2 days or?
Usually ranges from 2 to 5, just depending on how it lays out. One thing we do have going for us now that we haven't had in years past is our one-to-one capability. If we know something is coming, we could shift to a virtual day if we had to save some of those days. So,
just a correction, look at the itinerary, the schedule there, Todd. Down on the Easter spring break, it just caught my eyes, I was looking at it. Out on March the 25th to April the 1st, and down the little print down under
it
that.
says Monday.
It should be
I caught that.
Should be Tuesday.
I didn't type this, and I know that. I'm not going to say it, but it's easy to make a mistake, Mr. Manley. So, but we will get that corrected before it goes up on the website.
Perfect. That was my wishes.
It's easy to make a mistake only if you're not a newspaper.
So, Mr. Geis,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
is that going to be, we return on Monday, April the 3rd?
It'll be returned on Tuesday.
On Tuesday,
Yeah, we'll
April the
take Monday
4th.
off the day after Easter like we traditionally do.
All right. April, well,
He'll send you a new copy.
okay.
Tuesday,
Well,
April.
it's going to be April, if it's on Tuesday, that'll be April the 4th.
2024.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Guys,
Yes, sir.
one other thing too, on your committee, on your calendar committee, how many people typically serve?
It's around 20 on the calendar committee. We take principals from all 3 levels. We take district. We take cafeteria staff. We take our accountability team that's sitting in the back primarily, where they come in because they have the testing knowledge, put all this together. I'm sorry. And
Any parents?
no parents on the calendar committee.
No students?
No students.
Any particular reason?
None that I can think of, Mr. McCoy, other than that's the way we've always done it.
Forward that we could consider having some parents.
We could consider that. Yes, sir. I see nothing wrong.
One from one side, one from the west side, one from the east side, a couple of students.
We certainly can do that. You know, our calendar really, when you look at it, the big decisions we make are Christmas, Easter, and spring break because we're so bound to state testing. So,
But it would be, I think I'd feel good to know that parents also had some say so, because it is their children that we're making decisions about, and I think that they would appreciate it. I think it would probably be really good for the district as well.
right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Have a second? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? No? All right, motion passed.
Thank you.
All right, on item number 5, and my reading the wrong agenda that was sent out, we have an item that needs to be added to the agenda, so we need to amend the agenda for item number 5. I have a motion to amend.
I move to amend and add.
In a second?
I second.
Or any discussion on this?
No
None?
comment, Carl.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passed. Mr. Harold McCoy.
Yes, I was asking for the consideration to hire an architect to take a look at something that we've been discussing. Dr. Locke is here as well. Richwood press box is in deplorable condition. We need some work done on it. hoping to use some funds, residual funds that were left over from the bond money that was used for the construction of multi-purpose building. The building bid came under the anticipated budget, so we're hoping to have that we'll have some funds left over. Notwithstanding that there may be some change on it, but what we like to do is at least move forward and get a price to see what it would possibly cost. We still will have the option, whether as to whether we move forward or whether we look at doing something different. That's it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I went down there and looked at that. All we want to do is basically, is the bathroom right up under the concession stand, press box, is get a price what it's gonna cost, and go from there, so.
Right. We checked it out also, and I had Todd, Leonard, and Stephen, and Dr. Locke, Reverend McCoy. We went and looked at the inside of the press box, and we did something very similar to this using some M&O monies for renovation at West Ouachita on their press box. And so this would kind of be a two-prong financial thing, doing the renovations with M&O, the normal wear and tear that would come with that, and then the addition of what we're going to get the architect to do. That would actually be East Side Bond. So two different pots of money when it gets to that point, and we're not at that point yet.
One other thing, there's a ticket office down there that needs some work done on it, and I think we can do that through M&O. I need to get.
We got it on our list.
Get with Stephen.
It's on the list?
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Nothing major.
Do you need a motion and a second on this, or just,
Yes, I'd like a motion for consideration of hiring an architect for Richwood High School press box. Okay, any public comment, even though he said we didn't
no
have any?
public comments?
Okay, okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Financial report, Mr. Gina Mikus, December 30th, 2022.
Good afternoon, Board. You have in your packets the financial statements for the period ending December 31st, 2022. This is the 6th month of the fiscal year for ending June 30th, 2023. If you'll look on the first page, the general fund, we are at 85% of our budgeted fund balance at this time of the year. That budgeted fund balance, as we've discussed, and I believe it was brought up yesterday, that the fund balance is higher than it's ever been. I'll also point out that our expenditures are higher than they've ever been due to inflation and the economy. Things don't cost what they used to cost, and we've seen a very great rate of inflation very quickly. We have a fund balance in the general fund of $21 million, and that cash balance allows us to operate. It allows us to comfortably meet payroll without having to hold up disbursements based on deposits that may be coming in from MFP or other reimbursements. Just for example, that cash balance allows us to operate expenditure reimbursement grants, and we had one reimbursement grant, an expenditure reimbursement this past month of $9 million. So that fund balance allows us to meet the costs that are required under the grants and still be able to operate without having to wait until that money comes in to do so.
So we took the 9 million out, so it would have been 30 million before the 21?
No, it doesn't come out of the fund balance, but that fund balance gives us the cash to operate. So the grant, as you'll see.
So it didn't come out of general fund money, it was just assets.
Right, basically general fund loans the cash to grant programs that are on cost reimbursement basis. Then once we make the expenditure, then the grant sends us the money back. But we have to have that cash.
Stands as a line of credit.
Right, in order to meet the expenditures pay the expenditures and then request reimbursement from the grant. So that just allows us to operate on those cost reimbursement grants, which majority of our grants are cost reimbursement grants, whether it's Title I, ESSER, special education, child nutrition. We operate majority of our grants on a cash reimbursement basis, which means we pay the cash out, and then once those are approved, we get that cash back. So that's why we have to make sure that the money we spend is allowable under the budget that the grant has approved, so that we're not left holding those expenditures at the end of the day.
Mr. That also a privilege to us having a double A minus bond rating as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, very much so. A lot of the things that they review in the bond rating call is our philosophy on spending. They look at our budget, they question our budget, they question how we project expenditures in the future, how we're operating currently. They look at our past financial statements, so they're very thorough on those reviews. We send them all the information weeks ahead of time. They review it, and then they come back and ask us any questions. Then they go back and take that under advisement. So they're not just skimming over the top and giving us a rating. Yes, sir. If you look at the second column, district number 1, M&O, that's our half-cent sales tax district-wide. We have a fund balance of $27 million. Now, that money is what is set aside. It's set aside by percentage based on instructional facilities and maintenance. That's where we set money aside for our future bus purchases. As you know, we're looking at having to spend $5 million to replace our fleet that is aging out over the next few years, and we're looking at several options that we have there. This is where our funds are for our technology. So we are 1-to-1 in the district, that we were able to get that way with ESSER funds, but we also know that when those devices age out, we have to have the money to replace them.
What's the life cycle?
Clint, what's the life cycle of our Chromebooks?
20 years.
Right now, the models that we have today
20 years.
are good for June of 2027. So basically, through the end of the 26-27 school year, we need to have new models purchased for the 27-28 school year.
They'll start falling off.
Right, and based on the sheer volume of devices that we have, we can't do that all at one time, all in one summer. We have to spread that out and rotate and keep our devices updated.
So we're going to stagger over a period of what, 3 years, 5 years, or what?
Well, the problem with Chromebooks, unlike computers, where we buy 1,000 computers this year, and they'll last 5 years. We buy 1,000 computers next year, they'll last 5 years. You buy a Chromebook, any given model, Google has some things that they dictate how long they will allow that model to be supported by their platform. So essentially, when you buy that Chromebook, you pretty well know that Chromebook is only good for X days, because once we hit that end of life date, Google will no longer push updates to those devices, which means they become useless for testing, which has some security issues. So unfortunately, over the course of when we have kind of gone towards 1-to-1, the models that we have bought, and it's not simply through that's the way the market has gone, is all the models that were available during that period of time had that same expiration date.
Okay.
So unfortunately, for instance, today, I can buy a new model Dell that will extend out a couple more years, but you basically just have to do this more as a planning and kind of in paper setting aside money year to year to say, okay, we know at this point we're going to have to drop this big expenditure to replenish this Chromebook.
Right, and that's the reason that we have been very intentional, and I will compliment this board on being intentional on setting that money aside for 3 years from now. so that the money is going to be there to be able to replace Chromebooks that we have used ESSER monies initially to put in our students' hands.
And buses as well.
That also.
So we're also setting aside funds for buses each year, so it doesn't all fall in a lump fund in one year.
That makes a lot of sense.
Dr. Coker, are you pleased with the amount of work we're getting from the Chromebooks?
Yes. As I visit classrooms, it's amazing how many Chromes are on the desk, and students are using them, and teachers are using them to teach by. One of the things that we're looking at, you're going to see more probably at the middle and high school level than you will at the elementary, although the elementary has theirs out and they are using them. And so
good.
I think we're getting our money's worth out of them.
Students not allowed to take those home, are they?
Elementary students have not been. Middle and high school, yes. And I think maybe some of our upper elementary may be carrying them home. Clint, what did we, I think that was a decision made at the school level. Yeah.
So they have a carrying case.
They don't have a carrying case.
It's protected.
We did purchase protected cases for them to help cut down on damage or droppage and things like that.
And we've gotten those in already, or that's about $500,000, I believe, that we spent to put just for the cases to go on our Chromebooks. Yeah, we were finding out the first year that they will fall and they will drop and they will toss and they do not work after they do that. So we thought this was a good expense at our ESSER monies to be able to maintain the longevity of what we have with our Chromes.
Right, and also in addition to that, other classroom technologies such as the smart boards and the teacher's computer, the teacher's Chromebook that they're able to use to teach in the classroom. So all of those things we're preparing, while we've been able to provide them under the grants, we're preparing to be able to provide them and replace them ourselves, because the grants that provided these initially will not be, they're not long-term grants that are here to stay. This is short-term money, and we're looking at it as such. If you'll look at the third page, under debt service funds, you'll notice that 36 meals, that's a correction I need to make, 36 meals East Ouachita School District is showing a fund balance of $6 million. What was approved today to, I'm sorry, the next column over, East Ouachita Bond Construction, $31 million in fund balance. As we enter into some of our larger projects, the bond sale from earlier today will go into that balance as we're speeding up and getting projects like Sterlington Middle School and Richwood High School. As those projects move along, we want to make sure that we have the cash to fund those.
So when you add that, that'll bring it to 51?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the last two pages are a 3-year average to give you a little more history on the fund balance, revenues, expenditures of the general fund and the M&O. To me, that's always gives you just a little better picture to give it a 3-year history on that.
Mr. Manley, we have any comment cards?
No, sir, Mr. Como, we do not have any comment cards.
Thank you. They said I had to ask it every time.
I'm gonna bring a video of them. Hit the button.
All right, I'm asking for a motion to approve the financial report for December.
I so move that we approve the financial report for December 31st, 2022.
Second.
All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Well, we don't have all the discussion we wanted. Construction renovation projects, Stephen Hemphill. Speak up. Stephen had surgery, so you may have to strain your ears a little bit to hear.
Well,
So
thank
hang
you
with
for your
us.
prayers, and thank you, Mr. Geis, for filling in for me last month. I will keep it brief because of my voice will get tired. You have your hand out there. I know Sterlington High School, Richwood High School, multipurpose, and the parking lot over at West Monroe. They're all running behind schedule due to weather. I know Sterling High School, we had some floating mats brought in.
Middle school, Sterlington Middle.
Middle school, yeah. I'm sorry, I had said high school. Middle school had the floating mats brought in to help around the job site. I'll get you to look over the two handouts that I have. If you have any questions, I will answer them to the best of my knowledge. Try to keep from speaking so much. So, if no questions, that will be all I have.
Dr. Cook, I think you told me at the last construction report update on Sturgeon Middle School, which I was unable to attend, that there was some weather delay. It looks like right now they're projecting December of next year as a completion date, 1st of December.
December of this year.
I mean, this year.
December 7th, December 8th.
December the 8th.
Yes.
Completion date.
Pending no more rain. And we've had rain since they even said that, so that gives you an idea.
Hopefully we get in by the 1st of January. Be a good target date. No comment cards, Mr. Como.
Well, thank you. Do we need a motion on this?
That's just a point of
No motion needed.
No question, that's all I have.
I've got a question for you, or something I would like for you to do. Miss May and I have talked on two different projects, one at Drew Elementary and one at Crowley Elementary. The west wing at Drew needs a restroom. And we'd like to get you and Tim Randall's crew to go and look and see what you could come up with as far as making plans toward this. The restrooms in the old wing at Crowley Elementary School need refurbished. And I'd also like to get the same thing there.
Drew and Crowley Elementary.
Pardon me?
Drew and Crowley Elementary.
Drew and Crowley Elementary. Mhm.
All right.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evaluation of bids. Mr. McCormick?
All right, Board, we have two bids that I'm bringing you the results from. The first one is Ouachita High School additions and alterations. We had 4 construction companies that bid. Architect Alliance is the architect on that project, and they are recommending as the lowest responsive bidder, Gentry Construction at $1.546.
They both went after the induction and all on the office and all that. Okay.
Come in $46,000.
Do we have a comment card?
No, sir, Mr. Como, we have no comment card.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept this bid?
I make a motion to accept the bid from Gentry Construction.
Second.
All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
All right, Mr. Como, the second one is the security access points for 6 of the schools. And the bidders, we had 2. Reagan Builders was the lowest at $1.22200, and that is TBA, and they are recommending Reagan Builders.
Maybe I've just forgotten, but which 6 schools are we talking about?
Highland, Calhoun Elementary, Westridge, Woodlawn Middle, Calhoun Middle, and Good Hope.
I'll make that motion.
It's on the sheet.
Right, it's listed. We don't, any cards, Mr.?
No, sir, Mr. Como, we
Okay.
have no comment.
We need a motion to accept this bid.
You have a motion.
He got out of term, I just corrected him. That's fine, go ahead. Say it again, Mr. Hicks.
I'll make the motion.
And we'll have a second. Second.
But I had a question.
Okay, go ahead. You're gonna have
I
your
have a
question.
question.
Go right ahead.
On our Gentry Construction up here, it says architect is recommended. We got the architect already, or are we gonna recommend an architect?
The architect has already done all of their work. And it's Architect Alliance.
Okay, what about this one here? The
The
Reagan Builders?
second one is TBA,
Yeah,
and they are recommending the lowest responsive bidder as well.
I understand, but the architect, why you got it highlighted if we already got an architect?
I'm just telling you who the architect is. I'm just reminding you who they are, but I'm showing you who the lowest
I don't know who it is,
responsible.
that's why I'm asking, I don't have a name.
TBA.
Yeah, TBA is the second one.
Tim ran it on the last one.
I never heard that, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Do we have a card, Mr. Manley?
No, sir, Mr. Como, I have no more cards.
Do I have a motion, board? Do we have a motion to accept this?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion there? Okay, thank you. Anybody, all in favor of that would say yes?
Yes.
Any opposed would say no. Thank you. Permission to bid, Mr. McCormick.
Okay, Mr. Como, with your permission, we can take these four at one time.
So moved.
That's so moved. Is that okay, Mr. President?
That's right.
Thank y'all.
Need a second.
Need a second.
We need a second.
Second.
All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any discussion?
I don't think we had any discussion. Does anybody don't have any discussion? You have?
Well, I want to comment on the
Okay,
US
comment. Go right ahead.
65 turn lanes.
Okay.
It's been a long time coming. Dr. Coker and I have been working diligently with DOTD on these turn lanes. It's been holding up the Sterlington projects up there for months. Once we did our traffic study, we found out with the traffic study that DOTD was requiring us to do 2 turn lanes at Scott Drive for $1.4 million, which we did not have that in our budget. When we prepared our budget, we were not aware that the school board would be responsible for paying for turn lanes. So we kind of put a halt on our construction because we hadn't allowed the proper amount of funds in our bond proposal to cover that. So we've been working with DOTD and trying to secure those funds. And fortunately, I want to give a shout out to Foy Gadberry, our state representative. Foy is on the transportation committee at the state level. He's been successful in working with Mr. Sean Wilson, our department head for the state for DOTD. And due to Mr. Gadberry, we were fortunate enough to get the $1.4 million. So that's been a blessing for us on the construction projects in Sterlington. So we've also ironed out some other turn lane discussions and working with Natalie and DOTD. So we're talking to Dr. Coker. I think we're ready to start rocking and rolling in the Sterlington area and start turning some dirt on the high school and on the elementary. So I just want to give an update on that since
Thank
it's
you,
been a long
sir.
time.
Thank you. Do we have any comments on the other 3 items?
No comment cards.
No comment cards. Any questions on the west side or the east side? Thank you. All right, President's report. We've had a busy couple of 3 weeks. And again, I'd like to say thank you to all of those that helped work through this process of selecting the superintendent. Our next meeting is March 14th. And at this point, I'm going to ask Mr. Todd Gass if he would like to make any statement to end this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Como. Just, I guess, follow up with what I said earlier. Just thank y'all for your confidence and support. We got a great team in our district, and I look forward to continuing to work with them and moving our district forward. I think I covered a lot of that yesterday, but just really happy, really excited to get started. Work with Dr. Coker as he finishing his vision, and we'll start planning. We've got a lot ahead of us. I think Shelby alluded to, we have about 375 years of experience that have announced their intention to retire this year. So it's lots about to start happening very quickly as we prepare for next year and beyond. So really excited about it. Again, I thank my parents. They're here. My wife is here. My in-laws are here. My aunt's here. And I know my kids are watching online. So just appreciate y'all and ready to get started and start moving, getting ready for next year and beyond.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Superintendent's report.
And so with the superintendent-elect of Mr. Geis transitioning, Board, I'm going to ask if you don't mind that we go ahead and add to the personnel part that we open the personnel directors. We're about to get into the busiest part of the season. I knew Todd would do this on me. That we're going to have to be appointing and hiring teachers and making sure that we have administrators in place and it's going to be one of the busier seasons that we have had in a long time. And so we need to look at advertising and filling our personnel director's position within the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. So I would ask that we open that position up also.
We need a motion, or?
You can.
I move that we
Do
open
we
up.
have
the
any
person-
comment cards on this one?
No. We have no comment cards.
Thank you, sir.
I second.
We have a motion. Did you make a motion?
Yeah.
Made a
All right,
motion.
thank you. Second by Mr. Hicks. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Be quiet. Okay. Thank y'all for your patience. Again, thank you for all your support, and we hope that you continue to do so in the days ahead. And I need a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, yes.
Yes.